Good evening. Welcome to the Borough Council meeting, our voting session. It is September 17th, 2025 at 6:35. First thing we have is announcement of a public hearing. An ordinance of the Borough of Westchester, Chester County, Pennsylvania, amending the Code of the Borough of Westchester, Chapter 66, titled Housing and Property Maintenance, to amend Section 66-2, titled Amendments, Additions, and Deletions, by amending Section R, which adopted a new Chapter 10, Section 1000.1, Purpose, Legislative Findings, and Section 1006.E3 to increase the points for violations of Chapter 73, Noise, and Chapter 84, Nuisance. We'll call the voting session to order and have the Pledge of Allegiance led by public hearing. Sorry. I'm like, this is not an announcement. Go public hearing.
This is hopefully a simple one. This is an amendment to your property maintenance code that's codified in Chapter 66. You have adopted the International Property Maintenance Code. It's been also adopted a new Article 10, it's Article 10, which is specific to the Borough of Westchester and your rental program. And it requires that landlords be accountable for their residents and their tenants' actions. It allows a point system if the tenants are, either the landlords or the tenants for that matter, are cited under any of your codes. There's a point system that's in place, and that a property owner or landlord is subject to potential revocation of a rental license if they get to 10 points. This amendment is simply to change the number of points that would accumulate for citations with respect to public nuisance and noise violations. So currently, you get, I can't remember what the total is for the existing amount of points, 3. But right now, what you're proposing to do is first violation will be 3 points in 1 year, 4 points for the second violation in the same license year, and 5 points for the third violation. So it's a cumulative increase of the points if it's the same rental property, same tenant, same rental license period, which is a 1 year period. So it's simply to escalate the number of points that can accumulate. So pretty simple change. We also just changed, updated in terms of the number of rental dwellings you have and rooming units to make it current to today's numbers. And we did, because it's an ordinance, we had to advertise tonight's hearing. We did that in the Daily Local on September 9th. And we also provided a copy of the ordinance to the Daily Local and Law Library on August 21st for public inspection.
Thank you. We have any public comments or questions?
Lisa Kearns, West Biddle Street. I just have a question about what you said. You said the same year, the same property, the same tenant. So it has to be the same tenant. So if it's like it's a student house or something and one student does it as opposed to another.
Right. So for example, if you have 4 student tenants and student tenant A is the one that gets the citation, 3 points can get assessed if he's adjudicated guilty, he or she. Same tenant gets that same offense.
So this is
Then
the
it goes to
tenants
4.
we're doing rather than the landlords?
Well, it could be a landlord. It depends on what the matter is. So it depends on who's issued the citation. In some some property maintenance matters, the landlord is issued the citation, and then it would be the same landlord, obviously.
But if it's a noise complaint,
Then it's a tenant.
Gotta be the same
specific to the
tenant.
tenant.
okay, thank you. I didn't realize that.
Any other public comment? Council.
I just have one. It's more of a point of clarification. So, because the example that we just talked about was student housing, but this would be all rentals. So this would be long-term rentals. This would be student rentals, but it would also include short-term rentals, which is when we started talking about this, I believe. And if that is not true, then
Our short-term rental does not have a point system. That is not something that we put into the property maintenance or it's the short-term rental. There are requirements in Chapter 66 for them to obtain a short-term rental under Chapter 66, but we do not have the point system in place for short-term rentals.
Is there a reason why we wouldn't have?
We wouldn't, I mean, the idea is that you have, in most cases, a 1 year lease with the same tenants. So with a short-term rental, you're getting different rentals coming in. There's not continuity of the tenants if you're trying to address tenant behavior. As far as landlords, I mean, it's something we can look into, but it's typically, and I don't know, Ramsey, in your short tenure, if you know if most of the citations are being issued to the tenants or to the landlords.
To the tenants. Yeah.
I'm not sure you'd have the same effect if in the short-term rental, the tenants are constantly changing and you're not getting repeat tenants.
Yeah, thanks.
But I would just say like police related nuisance citations go to the tenants, like noise disturbances. Those are all to the tenants. Trash and whatnot go to the property owner, right? The trash tickets, those, anything to do with the house would go to the landlord or the property owner.
So last year, there was a property that was close to accumulating 10 points based on various things. There was trash over here, noise over there. Are you saying that it was one particular tenant that almost got to those 10 points? Or the property was assessed those 10 points?
The property was assessed those points. What I'm saying though, for the accumulation to occur, to go from the 3 to the 4 to the 5, the same tenant is getting the citation for noise, the citation for nuisance. Because it could be, you could have a scenario where you have 4 tenants that, I mean, my daughter lived at Penn State. She didn't know her other 2. She had a friend that she lived with, and the other 2 she found. So she didn't associate, I mean, they were roommates, but if that roommate received a citation, and that same roommate again got the citation, the goal of the ordinance is to try to get the tenants to have the landlord jump in and acknowledge where the problem tenant is, or tenants, plural, if there's multiple. So the ordinance is intended to have the landlord step in and take corrective action, notify the tenant, hey, I could evict you under the lease if you're getting these citations, and maybe they need to do that depending on the number of points. So when we wrote this, I actually had a conversation to say, like, should it be, I think it's consistent with the way the ordinance is written, that it's as each tenant gets a multiple violation and adjudicated guilty on these 2 matters, that's where the points accumulate.
So if you have 8 people living in one building, the points are attached to each of the 8, or is it a collective?
It's collective to the property.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
No, I just, well, the way I'm hearing this, I am not sure that the impact is going to be as intended, because I'm just thinking about fraternities having big parties, and, they could be like, oh, he did it this time, he threw the party, and then next time, oh, he threw the party, and it's really they threw the party and the collective party, and that's the behavior that we were trying to address with this change. And it sounds like by attaching it to the tenant, what seemingly I thought was an innocuous question that you asked, you really opened up a whole pile of worms. But yeah, I'm not sure it's going to actually have any
Why,
impact.
if there were multiple people holding the party, why the police couldn't issue citations to everybody that's there? So it may be a manner in which they're issuing the citations where they don't have to pick one person, right?
Can I ask a question that I think might clarify this? Who's deciding who is being cited? So if the police are making this decision, it's not, the tenants and the landlord are not going to be able to manipulate this in a way that benefits them.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good, like, how do the citations, like, let's just use the example for a party. Like, if there's like a frat party and the house gets cited, is that how it works? Like the police goes in and they cite everybody on the lease, or how does that work?
Involved in that. I mean, I think that the police can show up and find out who are the people on the lease and then issue citations to the people that are responsible for hosting that party. And I don't see why they wouldn't be able to issue it to every person that's on that lease if they're all engaged in that behavior.
I think that my understanding of the intent of modifying this from council was to accumulate the points faster. Like, what we have seen is few properties, whether we're talking about owners or tenants, seldom get to the 10 points, right? And so the objective here was to have more bite in the ordinance so that whether Lisa violates or Nicole or Patrick violates, they accumulate to the property, and now the property is at risk for violating the ordinance.
And that's still the case. I'm not suggesting that they're not accumulating on the property. What I'm saying is that if you read the whole ordinance, the point of the ordinance was to have landlords take accountability for the actions of their tenants. And so when they get the first citation and the first accumulation of points, the landlord is supposed to take and is required to take some corrective action. By then saying that if tenant A gets the first citation, but the second time tenant A is not there, or no, I'm sorry, second time tenant A does it again, then yeah, the number of points should increase because landlord, you did nothing. Presumably you did nothing to try to change the behavior of tenant A that got the citation in the first place.
So if tenant B makes has a noise violation, it doesn't become 4
It's
points
3
against
points.
the house.
Right, it's 3 points.
So it's still 3 because it's that.
I mean, that's how it's worded. I brought this up as a question. I guess it wasn't discussed at the
Yeah, I
committee
think we
because I brought it up as a question to say, is this intended to be per the tenant? I think it's more in line with the way the ordinance is written, that it's per the tenant. If you'd like to be and have it be that it's just per the property. I mean, there would be scenarios though where, again, and I tried to give the example of my daughter who wasn't really friendly with her, the 2 other tenants that lived with her, like she's now somewhat responsible for the fact that her 2 other tenants that she doesn't control or isn't friends with, isn't part of a party with, is now going to be penalized in a way. So there is a scenario where you're going to have 4 people are residing there that aren't, don't have control over the other people's behaviors.
It's the accountability of the property owner, I think, that we're trying to get to, right? So they have to drive the accountability of the tenants. We can't control the tenants, but we can control the property owners. So I think the intent here, it was at the property level and not the tenant level.
More subject to challenge, but if that's how you want it, we should reword it.
All right.
That way, that's the way it was intended during the smart growth. It goes against the property. That way there accumulates more aggressively as the bad behavior begins, it continues. And the landlord is held responsible, not the tenants, because you could be, going in circles with the tenants. So I'm glad you guys caught that. I read it not 3 times, but it's supposed to be going to the property and to the landlord, not to the.
And that's fine. I think it could be subject to more challenge, but I think all you have to do is adopt it with the deletion of the words by the same tenant in the 3rd and the 5th sentence. Because this is not zoning in Saudo, you're able to make changes at the public hearing. I think that would be appropriate. And I actually reviewed the home rule charter to see that in the event there was a change, whether you would be able to do that, and you can. So you can still move forward if you'd like by the same tenant to be deleted from the 3rd and the 5th line.
I have a question. Why not make it both tenants and the property owner? I mean, because there could be in some cases that the tenants may not be able to control, or excuse me, the property owner may not be able to control their tenants. For example, when they're moving out, right? And it's their senior year and they want to do something, right? Throw a bash or something along those lines. I think, I think that it should be both.
In the scenario you just gave, those tenants would still be cited and it still goes against the property. So it depends on what the offense is as to who the police will be citing or who your code enforcement officers are citing. It really depends on what the violation is. But for public nuisance and noise, it's typically the tenants that are the ones conducting that behavior that are cited. But if they're leaving and it's in May and you can get to the district court and they are adjudicated guilty, it does go against the property. So
Okay. Then that does answer my question then.
So then what you're saying is, when it involves the property, it's to the landlord, but when it involves something like a party or noise, it's to the tenant, but not to the landlord?
It's whoever's whoever's committing the offense for which they're receiving a citation. Depends on what the offense is. If it's a sidewalk, didn't clear the sidewalk of snow, that's a landlord responsibility. If it's, you had a party and you were violating the noise ordinance, it's who is the person that's violating the noise ordinance, typically the tenant that's doing that. So it depends on what is the offense for who is the appropriate defendant to be cited.
But the
But
point,
at the end, I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, the landlord needs to be responsible for their tenants. So if it is noise repeatedly, and typically, that's what Brian Travis goes through with noise and parties and a lot of people in that vicinity, the landlord has to be held accountable.
That's why the points are accumulating to the point where if they get to 10, the landlord has to have a process where the borough can revoke his license. So it ultimately does go back to the owner if the points accumulate.
Okay, because what I heard you say was a little bit different from what you're saying now. So I guess my question is, if you have a situation where you have 2 or 3 parties, they come out there multiple times, because usually it's a repeat offender. Each time someone different is cited, because someone different maybe have begun the party or started the party. But still the points have accumulated to that landlord. Shouldn't they still go up?
They do.
Okay.
I mean-
Even though it's different tenants.
Well, now the way the language is proposed to be changed, it doesn't matter if it's different tenants. They'll still go up the way it's proposed to be changed.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Any additional public comment? Council good with the wording revision?
Yeah, I'm glad we caught that because, yeah, exactly.
Somebody like to make a?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance with the revisions that we talked about, removing the tenant-specific language.
I'll second that.
Right, Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Travis?
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni? And Mr. McCoy?
Yes. Okay, with that, we will call the voting session to order at 6:50. Start with the pledge by Mr. Flynn. Okay, we have we have acknowledgement of employees. The borough, of course, is very appreciative of the hard work and dedication of our long-term employees that celebrated work anniversaries this month, I assume, or over the last month. Okay. So 30 years of service, and I don't want to botch these names. Is it Robert Kuhn?
Keen.
Keen, thank you. 25 years, Chief Josh Lee, Dana, Barday Jacobs, Derek Jackson, Paul Widmeyer. 20 years of service, Jeffrey Gallo, Christopher Daly. 15 years, Alsan Famba, Brad Berge, Jason Frankart, Stacy King. 10 years of service, Jeff Corbone. Congratulations. Thank you all very much. Okay, number 5, we'll go to comments, suggestions, petitions by residents, taxpayers, and visitors in attendance regarding items that are not on the agenda. Please be advised there's a 5-minute time limit.
Darrell Cook, taxpayer. I suggest a website update for some.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. The speaker is obligated to give his address according to our rules and regulations.
Mr. Cook.
506 South Walnut Street,
We all have
Westchester,
that
PA.
memorized by now, but thank you.
I suggest the website update for Sunday parking. It's listed as no enforcement. Thank you.
So noted, thank you. Any other comments?
Hi, I'm Joe Ovalman, 410 West Chestnut. I'm here tonight on behalf of American Legion Post 134 to invite each of you to march in the Veterans Day Parade on Sunday, November 9th at 2 p.m. We stage at Henderson at 1:30. That's it. The response has been really good. I hope that continues. Public shout out right now. Commissioner Rowe got right back to me with a yes, and Representative Pielli got right back to me with a yes. So I'd like to thank those two elected officials, and again extend the invitation to each of you to march in the Veterans Day Parade come November 9th.
Thank you. What is the route?
I'm sorry.
Native route?
Stage at Henderson comes right out to Gay Street, up Gay to Church, left on Market, ends at the courthouse. Old courthouse steps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Some of you get a specific email. Or the Mayor DeBaptiste, I'll send you a specific email, but please the rest of council know, and everyone in the room tonight know, that you're all invited and encouraged to come to the parade, please. We need you on the sidewalk as well as in the parade. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? All right, we'll move on to council and the mayor, starting with Ms. Vaccaro.
I want to take this opportunity to remind everyone, in light of recent events, that political discourse, encouraged, and discussions of different opinions is the backbone of our country and our diverse community. And I want to encourage everyone to continue talking and sharing your ideas and making sure that we come together. In the purpose of coming together is to find peaceful resolutions to things. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McGinnis.
Yes, I just wanted to bring attention to the tragedy that some of you may or may not have heard recently in York County, Pennsylvania. 5 police officers were shot, 3 of whom were killed. 2 of them are in the hospital. And that just goes to show just how dangerous a job our police does every day, and keep those families in your prayers.
Thank you. Mr. Travis.
Lighten it up a little bit and talk about Oktoberfest, because this is the 4th annual Oktoberfest we've had in Westchester, and I haven't been to any of them, so I'm planning to do that. It sounds like a lot of fun. There's live music, there's beer special and cider specials, and there's activities for kids. So hope to see you there.
Thank you. Ms. Dorsey.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. I just wanted to, again, recognize all of the work anniversaries of the borough employees and commend them for their dedication and work to keeping us all safe and clean and current, and the list goes on and on. So thank you all for your service to the borough.
Thank you. Mr. Flynn.
Greetings from the sweetest ward in the borough, the 6th ward. Good news. We have new owners of DP Dough. It's another ice cream store. No? Oh, pizza. DP Dough, new owners. They're throwing a party to celebrate this Saturday, the 20th, from 3 to 5. Free samples, raffles, live music, and more. Also, I want to bring attention to everyone that's listening. Last week, we lost a very young person on Route 322 on the way to Downingtown. Please be careful of your surroundings when you're driving on an open road, not in the borough specifically, because we have closed streets. But when we're driving out in the country, even though 322 from here to Downingtown doesn't seem to be country, it is, or going out 842 or out 52, just pretend that there's a deer on every side of the road and will come across whether you want it to do that or not. Just be just a little bit aware. We don't want to lose any more people to animals running into us. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Simone.
Thanks. Well, it's almost fall. And with that comes pumpkin spice and train delays. Like today, I was on my train coming home to come here, and it was delayed. I made it here, no problem. It was delayed. But what I am thankful for is that I still have a train to ride. And I'm thankful that our community still has buses to ride and other forms of public transportation. And so I'm glad that SEPTA found that the funding was found for SEPTA over the past couple of weeks. I know it was a lot of conversation. I want to thank Chris Pielli, Senator Comita, Malcolm Kenyatta, and a whole slew of other people that fought to make sure that SEPTA still had funding for not just the rails, but all of the buses and all of the things that our community needs to get around. So thanks for that. And I'm glad I can still get here on time. So.
Thank you. Mayor.
So I'd just like to say that Westchester has a lot going on, from the parade in November till this Sunday, which is Restaurant Festival. So don't forget to come back to Westchester and enjoy all the good restaurants and food trucks around, to the Oktoberfest, the Chili Fest, all sorts of things. So we have a lot going on. But at the end of the day, it requires a committed community to all of the events and the volunteers. And I especially want to say thank you to those in the borough who put so much time and effort, new and old, but particularly our seasoned employees like Dana Domenico, which we all know is just Dana, who does so much for us personally with everything, and along with Ramsey and our chief. I can't believe that some of these have had 25 years, Varday Jacobs in Public Works. So we thank them all, and we're appreciative of their commitment to the borough, because a lot of times people don't stay 25 years in one place. They leave after 3 to 5 years and they're gone on to the bigger and best and next thing. But so we appreciate your staying and your commitment to the borough. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. This is my favorite time of year. There's plenty going on, still perfect weather this weekend before the restaurant festival. Enjoy the beer garden at the theater on Friday. Forget what time it starts. Do you know?
No, like
No, yeah,
30?
but
36?
have a beer and check out the theater and enjoy the weekend and the weather. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to reports and presentations. I don't believe we have any. And then new business. We have no new business. Old business discussion regarding a motion to schedule a public hearing on October 15th, 2025 regarding Comcast past performance under its current franchise agreement.
I don't think this is really for discuss. It was more because of my working for Comcast, and I just wanted to parse this out for the vote. So I don't think there's a whole lot unless somebody else has.
Gotcha. So nothing to discuss, but we will call the question. I guess we have to call public comment first. Any public comment? All right. Would somebody like to make a motion?
Mr. McCoy, I make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for the Comcast past performance under its current franchise agreement.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Travis?
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni has recused herself and
Yes.
Mr. McCoy.
Yes. Thank you. And old business, the consent agenda.
Make a motion for consent agenda.
Second.
Metric, please call the question. All right, public comment.
Ms. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Jerry, it's 7:00. You asked whether we ever got out of here on time. It's 7:00. Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Travis?
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy?
Yes. Okay, is there any other business? All right, we are adjourned at 7:02. Thank you very much.